So we'll call this meeting to order. It's a special council meeting of Tuesday, April 15th. And this one's in the afternoon. Interesting. The vision of the Village of Valemount is striving for a vibrant and balanced community. And it's our mission to serve the community and embrace opportunity. And so we'll call to order. I guess that's what we've done. And we'll adopt the agenda. Any additions or deletions?
You have a few, right?
Oh, okay. So, just this.
There was the second one, and that's the referral from the regional Fraser Fort George.
Okay. So, yes.
We open up, I want to add a new section just before public comment, move everything else down one called new business. So
Okay.
let's do it after the two bylaws.
So,
5.5?
yeah, something like a new heading there, new business.
Yeah, with new heading for new business, it'll become 6. Number 6 is new business.
Sure.
And so it'll be 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3.
Okay, so those three items. So I'll just explain what they are. One is a referral regarding the agricultural land reserve. It's to the regional district. And the reason it's being added to this agenda is because it's sort of a timely thing and it helps get these guys through an otherwise long process. The next item is 2 resolutions to the NCLGA, which are kind of late items and need to be hurried along, but need the say-so of council. And what's the third item?
We'll just deal with each resolution individually.
So
two resolutions, so that's 3. Okay. So I'll move that we add just Councillor Bullock, motion on the amendment, or vote on the amendment. All in favor? Okay. And then motion to adopt the amended agenda. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Latimer, all in favor? Okay, cooking with gas. So we'll move down. The first item is the 5-year financial plan bylaw, number 717, 2014. And we're at third reading. Staff's recommendation is that we give third reading to this bylaw, which includes a 2% increase in taxes for all categories, 0.6% to 0.75%. It's not quite clear what it will work out to, but this is the increase in taxes given the tax exemption to a couple non-profit groups, the Legion,
Lions.
the Lions, and the Curling Rink, and then the as well as the churches, which are typically there. And I guess the overall ethos of the financial plan bylaw is to use surplus to cover additional projects and expenses. So to not increase taxes based on that, but use surplus. I guess that's not really, the real ethos is to do like we did this year, give ourselves the flexibility to spend if granting opportunities come up, but hold the line and try not to go over budget.
Well, and wasn't it some of the surplus, we took a chunk of surplus and put it aside and said, okay, we can use this but not touch that. So that's, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Turn this off. Okay, good. All right, I'll move third reading. Seconder?
Yeah.
Councillor Bullock. All in favor?
So I'm sorry, is it a 6 or is it a 0.75%? What is this?
It's a little bit unclear yet
Okay.
because we have to cover the portion for the regional district and the school
right.
tax, and we don't have the school tax increase yet.
So up to 0.75% basically.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. That was just to give an indication of what the hit from that would be, but yeah, it's, we set our budget, like what we need, and then it back calculates. So to give what people are going to experience is a little tricky when our partners haven't told us how much they're going to be increasing. 5.2, street vendor bylaw number 713, 2014. staff's recommendation is that we approve third reading. So why don't we get it on the, we'll get it on the floor quickly, and Councillor Latimer and Councillor Blanchette. Okay, any discussion with this one? It's
Just one, because I know this area had been modified because of the changes from street vendor permit 1 and 2. It's just in point 16.1 on page 6. The first sentence is reading, should a street vendor wish to conduct operations outside the conditions as stipulated in their street vendor, the street vendor must apply. I think there should be a permit there, street vendor permit,
sure.
Thank you.
And that's it, otherwise everything's good. I think of note here too is simply that it's incorporating the major and the minor terminology.
Yeah, so we'll get rid of mobile vendor
The
versus...
term mobile vendor.
Yeah, very good.
Confusing.
That's great. So it's street vendor 1
and
street
2.
vendor 2. Yeah, good. Okay, good. If that's, any other comments on this one? It's nice to see it come to fruition. Spring is happening, so. And yeah, I think we're good to go. We've hashed this one out to death in public. All in favor? No. Okay. So fees and charges amendment bylaw number 714. The recommendation is that we approve third reading. This is those charges that go, we need to amend them in to accommodate the street vendor bylaw. And I think these have also been hashed out. And because there's an $800 fee, which we established in concert with the vendor, or for the street vendor permit 1. And also because there's a sort of, if they use any of the 4 locations that are agreed upon, there's no extra fee. But because of our experiences with our temporary bylaw, we decided we're gonna go through like a land use type thing, which costs $450 because it's intense. It requires advertising and staff time, right? Because, so it really is, even though it's not really a land use thing, he's not building an apartment complex there, but we're going through all the same motions as if he were really to respect kind of the community. So that's where we get the fees from. But so where are we at with that? We got a mover and seconder on that? Yeah, Councillor Salt and Councillor Bullock. All in favor? Okay, we'll move on to new business. And so if you guys want to take 5 minutes, let's look at the referral here. What do you think of those recommendations?
I think covers things quite well. I looked at the application in quite detail. It does concern me taking anything out of the ALR, but when you look at the section they're talking about, it's kind of hard to grow anything there. So I think if it just raised the point to be considerate of any time something like that comes forward, to just weigh and measure carefully.
A person almost wants to include a recommendation that the ALR really take a look at the lands that they're considering part of the ALR.
Well, I think that's in the plan. They just haven't been able to figure out how to execute it just yet. But I like the application for the photos that are included to be able to see. And it's an exciting proposal for these people to move here and want to do something interesting with nature and animals here.
And it's a big project.
Yeah, super.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome,
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
Yeah.
It's one family, and yet the potential is so big. Yeah.
Well, it would be different if it was being taken out to build a shopping center, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
there's still
There's still
agricultural activity happening.
Okay, so
I'll move.
That we go with the recommendation.
okay,
I'll second it.
all right, and all in favor? Great. These 2 resolutions here are to go forward to NCLGA. I just came back from the AKBLG, and I mean, we just got a membership there, but that's not, we just became a part of the AKL. That's not the place to bring resolutions forward. I've been told that there may be an opportunity to get this before the NCLGA, despite the fact that it's late. Typically, they like to see a good, hard reason why it's late, and I've got two really good reasons. I put this together, both of these together, as quickly as possible after meeting with Kinder Morgan in Calgary, and then realizing that, so that the reasoning is not written inside this why it's late, but when we present it, I will make sure that that's noted. What really freaked me out in Calgary was that there was some talk of Kinder Morgan using diesel generation to run the pumps. And I mean, you know, not only do we want green energy, you know, we don't want to go backwards either and have some, you know, right, you know, practically in the park, you know, just outside the park. So it was just like, and then also Kinder Morgan saying, do you have support in the province for this? Is this valued by the province? Do other municipalities support this? You know, is this like a cachet thing, or is this just you're on your own and you want to do this? And so the opportunity to bring it to the NCLGA, and hopefully if it passes there to UBCM, would be a way of getting other communities like Terrask and people around Nuco Lake who are also interested in geothermal, sort of all raise our voices together and say, no, province, you really need to get on this. And so I won't go through the whole thing, but the heart of it is that we're asking the provincial government to take a leadership, much like they do in LNG. I mean, if they could do that for geothermal, we'd be smoking. But for the provincial government to support the development of a geothermal power in BC by addressing deficiencies in the province's geothermal permitting and leasing process, by encouraging Geoscience BC to survey provincial heat resources, by including geothermal as a resource option in the province's, there's an error there. It needs to say BC Hydro's, that was my fault. BC Hydro's integrated resource plan, and by working with BC Hydro to facilitate interconnection and a payment structure that promotes geothermal power. So this is, in a nutshell, is all of our learning over the last couple of years about what's holding geothermal power back, and it's an attempt to, raise the issue, make some awareness, and hopefully get the province to change their ways.
Good job.
Thank you. Thanks. So that's, so this is one item. So with that change, and I believe that I made a typo in the, in one of the whereas clauses, although those are.
That's the first one, it's the last one. I think it's supposed to be and increasing. Here's missing a word.
Right, yeah. Yeah. That makes it make sense, yes. Okay. So with those, you know, we're just getting this right now. So with those amendments,
So, I just have a question, like, are we allowed to add stuff late? Like, I know you said we have to have a reason,
yeah,
but like, are we allowed to, is this how it's submitted and this is the right course that we
Yeah.
do it, or?
so,
Because we already said no to this, didn't we? And then, so now we're just adding something?
What do you mean?
When
Comes to council.
When it comes to council to say, did we have anything we wanted to add? And we said no, and now we're adding this, we can do that. Okay,
yeah, it's part of the process.
okay.
So we're gonna move both of these at the same time, or?
No, just this one.
Okay.
And then we'll do the next one separately. So I'll move this.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Okay.
And just for clarification, the resolution is that staff submit the resolution as presented with the two amendments to
Yeah.
NCLGA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, yeah,
That's it.
yes. I mean, that's definitely the intent, yes.
Okay.
But we're gonna need to write a little thing about why it's late, so I can help with that.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
We'll have to hurry too, because it's only a couple of weeks away, right?
Yes, yeah. Just as background, I did put these through the UBCM's resolutions. They've got like a person just on resolutions, and so they've been through there to make sure that they've got the right shape and form. Yeah. Okay, so the next resolution is on strengthening telecommunications infrastructure. And I'll read the whereas clause because they're short. Whereas many communities and First Nations are underserved by the existing telecommunications infrastructure in BC, and whereas from time to time utilities or corporations make application to the provincial government for permission to establish new rights of way on Crown land, therefore, that's my mistake again, therefore, be it resolved that the provincial government require that the construction of any new rights of way include the laying of fiber optic cable in order to broaden and strengthen telecommunications infrastructure around the province. And the reason for the sudden inclusion of this one was in Calgary, I found out that Kinder Morgan in their application all the way from Edmonton to Rearguard hasn't put fiber optic cable in the trench, and it's just such a waste of time and resources. And I was speaking to a guy, and it was good. I was speaking to a fellow from Kinder Morgan who started putting fiber optic cable in trenches when they did expansions and extensions in 1993. And I was just like, what is going on? I think the thing is, it may complicate their application if they do it, if they throw in the fiber optic cable. If it's a requirement that the province puts on them, it's going to be easier for them, right? It's not going to be expensive by any stretch of the means compared to, well, especially compared to laying new fiber optic cable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just wondering if part of the intent of this is because of an existing pipeline, it's not really a new right-of-way. Mm-hmm. So will that really capture what I think you're intending?
Oh, interesting.
Because that's an existing right-of-way. It's not a new one. So if that's kind of the intent you were going with this, it's not going to cover that.
Okay. Okay, let's, how are we doing for time? We're okay? Because we could hash this out right now very quickly and just add a little phrase in there that
On new developments on existing right-of-ways?
Yeah.
New construction?
so establish new right.
Or, so you leave everything that is, but you'd add new right-of-ways or new construction on existing right-of-ways.
Yeah, very good. Good catch. Yeah.
Let's make sure we put that in both the whereas and the therefore be it resolved.
Right.
And my other just question is that's not going to put any liability on any municipalities that might be digging up any of their right-of-ways to have to lay fiber optic cable, will it? I know you're saying in the first one about the Crown land.
Right. So if we do
second
right-of-ways on Crown land, what are instances of Crown land that we have?
It's somewhat implied in the second whereas where you talk about utilities or corporations, but I wonder if some of that language can come forward.
I know, I know it's implied, but you don't want to kind of leave that.
No implications. So
Okay.
let's make it clear.
That the provincial government require
Utilities
or corporations?
Maybe take that language forward.
Yeah.
Good eye.
You know me, safety soundy. Don't want to put the village in any
Construction by, does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. That needs a little bit of a rewrite. For require utilities and corporations.
And then constructing any new right-of-way to include the Okay.
There's a number of ways at it, but you can say that the provincial government require utilities and corporations to lay fiber optic cable.
That's a better way to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's much more clear.
In new rights of way.
In the construction.
Yeah. And we'll also add that piece about the existing.
So to further Councillor Salt's comment though, municipalities are corporations.
Corporations, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Private corporations?
there, that might help.
But then at the same time, if you've got BC Hydro, for example, that's a Crown Corp, but
Yeah,
is it too limiting if we say private corporations?
Right. Well, I mean, part of this piece is
Well, yeah.
really to raise awareness. Like,
Yeah.
provincial government's not going to read this off the page and say, okay, that's our law. I mean, Shirley Bond's good, but
yeah, this is
But this is necessary for places that don't have connectivity. So
Yeah.
if there's already the ability to have, we have our high-speed internet or our cable here, it doesn't necessarily need it. This is only for places where our infrastructure we have a lack of infrastructure. So if we've already met requirements for fiber optics,
and could it be too that if we do development on Crown land, if we're putting a new right of way, say for whatever reason we're taking the 80 feet, don't we have a responsibility to do that as well? Kind of?
yeah.
So what you're saying is if we speak to it through the Crown land piece,
Yeah.
as opposed to the who piece,
Yeah.
that may cover the concerns then.
Yeah, any new rights of way on Crown land,
yeah.
right?
That's
If we
probably
get that
the
into
clearest.
the result. Yeah.
so maybe you can clean it up and send it out to everyone at the end of,
that right.
yeah?
Yeah, we'll just have him, yes, please.
Give it a shot.
I'll just read the,
Therefore, yeah.
therefore papers law that the provincial government require utilities and corporations to lay fiber optic cable in the construction of new rights of way on Crown land or existing rights of way on Crown land in order to broaden and strengthen telecommunications infrastructure around the province.
Okay.
I like it.
Good. Okay, so I'll move the amended. Okay. All yeah, all in favor? I guess we have a chance to kick at that. Okay, and that brings us to our regular old public comment, I think. Is that next? But there's only journalists here. I mean, we're lucky to have them. In Fruitvale, they can't get journalists to their meetings. Yeah. Any going once? Anybody have a public comment to make about the proceedings of today? Going twice? Are you about to stand up? It looks like you're ready to. Yeah, okay. Okay. And third time. Okay, very good. Great, and that brings us right to the end, to adjournment. There's no in-camera today. Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock, all in favor. Adjourned.
Great.